Hello students, this is our 14th chapter Ecosystem and Energy Flow. My name is Dr. Insha Sheikh. In this chapter, we are going to study about ecosystem. We have a little bit idea about what is ecosystem, but we don't know about energy flow. So in this chapter, what is the energy which is regulating the whole ecosystem? What are the substances, what are the things which are present? We are going to study about everything. So without any delay, let's start with the chapter, students. My name is Dr. Insha, and today we will study our 14th chapter, Ecosystem and Energy Flow. Moving to the next slide. Okay, so what is an ecosystem? An ecosystem is a self-regulatory and self-sustaining structural and functional unit of nature. Nature means biosphere, self-regulating, खुद से चलने वाली चीज़. A ecosystem is a self-regulating and self-sustaining. Self को सस्टेनिंग मीन्स अपने आप को खुद वो स्ट्रक्चर और खुद अपने आप का फंक्शन डिसाइड करती है और उसके हिसाब से काम करते हैं. सो एन इकोसिस्टम इज़ अ सेल्फ रेगुलेटरी एंड सेल्फ सस्टेनिंग structural and functional unit of nature, that is biosphere. It contains both biotic and abiotic components. इसके पास दोनों चीज़ है, बायोटिक भी कंपोनेंट्स भी है और अबायोटिक कंपोनेंट्स भी है. बायोटिक कंपोनेंट्स क्या है? हमारे लिविंग थिंग्स. नॉन बायोटिक कंपोनेंट्स है हमारे नॉन लिविंग थिंग्स. Biotic components interact with each other and also with the surrounding environment. Clear with this? Tinsley in the year 1935 coined the term ecosystem. Tinsley ने क्या किया? Tinsley coined the term ecosystem. Ecosystem vary greatly in size from a small pond to a large ocean or small farmland to village. Ecosystem can be small as well as large. Small in size like a small pond to the large ocean, that is all an ecosystem. You can see in this image. This is a large ocean नीचे वाला and ऊपर is something a small pond type का है वो. So, and from that to a small farmland to the whole village is an ecosystem. Entire biosphere can be considered as one good global ecosystem. Entire biosphere, पूरा biosphere को हम लोग एक global ecosystem बोलेंगे. made up of many local ecosystems. Since the earth ecosystem is too big and too complex to be studied, it is divided into two basic categories. क्योंकि जो हमारे अर्थ का इकोसिस्टम है वो बहुत ज़्यादा बड़ा है, बहुत ज़्यादा कॉम्प्लेक्स है, that it is a very impossible for anyone to study. That's the reason it is divided into two basic categories, wise, terrestrial and aquatic. We have learned about both this ecosystem in the previous chapter, but in this chapter also we will have a little short definition. जैसे अब फॉरेस्ट है, ग्रास लैंड एंड डेजर्ट, जितने भी लैंड वाले पार्ट है वो सारे हैं टेरेस्ट्रियल. फॉरेस्ट, ग्रास लैंड, and desert are the types of terrestrial ecosystem, while lake, wetlands, rivers, and estuaries, all something which contains water, are the types of aquatic ecosystem. The ecosystem can also be classified as natural ecosystem and artificial ecosystem. Natural ecosystem do not require any human input. In other words, they are self-sustainable. They don't need anything from human. They are self-sustainable. They can make their structure and functions by their own. This is a natural ecosystem. Coming to artificial ecosystem, for example, a farmland, a fish tank, or even a large pond used for rearing fish require constant input in terms of energy और मटेरियल. ये जो आर्टिफिशियल इकोसिस्टम होता है उन्हें बहुत ज़्यादा एनर्जी चाहिए, बहुत ज़्यादा मटेरियल चाहिए. So this is the two types of ecosystem. One is artificial, one is natural. Coming to the next slide. In this chapter, we will study and analyze the structure of the ecosystem. Ecosystem का structure कैसा है? In order to appreciate the input, that is productivity, transfer of energy. Energy transfer कैसे होती है? By food chain और web, nutrient cycling, and the output, degradation and energy loss. We will also look at the relationships, chains, and webs. We will also look on the relationships, chains, and webs that are created because of the energy flows within the system. Clear with this? What we are going to study in this chapter? We will study and analyze the structure of the ecosystem in order to appreciate the input, that is productivity, transfer of energy, food chain or web chain, or nutrients or cycling, and the output, that is degradation and the energy loss. Clear with this? Moving to the next slide. 14.1 Ecosystem. First, we will study about the structure and function. What is the structure and what is the function? So, students, we have already studied the various biotic and abiotic components of the environment. हमने बहुत सारी चीज़ें पहले से पढ़ी हैं बायोटिक और अबायोटिक कंपोनेंट्स के बारे में. We know that all these biotic and abiotic component influence each other. एक दूसरे पे डिपेंडेंट है बायोटिक और अबायोटिक कंपोनेंट्स. Let us now look at this component with an integrated approach and see how the flow of energy takes place in ecosystem. Interaction of biotic and abiotic components result in a physical structure, that is characteristics for each type of ecosystem. Identification and enumeration of plant and animal species of an ecosystem gives its species composition. Understood, students? What is the structure and function? पहले तो इकोसिस्टम में कितनी चीज़ें हैं, बायोटिक और अबायोटिक दोनों हैं, राइट। We all know biotic and abiotic components are inversely, directly or indirectly, they are connected to each other. Then in this chapter we will study that how energies flow in this ecosystem, how the flow of energy takes place in ecosystem. We will study about interaction of biotic and abiotic components and the result in a physical structure that is characteristics for each type of ecosystem, identification and enumeration of plants and animal species of an ecosystem gives its species composition. Clear with this? Moving to the next slide. Biotic and abiotic component differ as the location vary in space and time. बायोटिक और अबायोटिक कंपोनेंट एक दूसरे से डिफ़र करते क्योंकि उनका लोकेशन जो होता है वो बहुत ही चेंज होता रहता है स्पेस और टाइम के हिसाब से. द वेरिएशन ड्यू टू स्पेस रिजल्ट्स इन पार्शियल पैटर्न. अब ये जो वेरिएशन है इट इज़ ड्यू टू स्पेस रिजल्ट इन स्पेशियल पैटर्न्स. There are two types of spatial patterns. One is stratification and one is zonation. What is stratification? We will study it further. Vertical distribution of different species of plants and animal occupying different levels is known as stratification. वर्टिकल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ डिफरेंट स्पीशीज़ मतलब स्ट्रेटली वर्टिकली डिस्ट्रीब्यूट किया है. And even though they are having or occupying different levels is known as stratification. इसका एग्जाम्पल है trees occupy top vertical strata or layer of a forest. Shrubs the second and the herb and grasses occupy the bottom layer. Similarly, stratification is also observed in the poem seas as epipelagic, mesopelagic, bathypelagic and benthic zones. This is a diagram of stratification of plant in forest. See the distribution part students. सबसे टॉल है वो है emergent layer, उसके बाद है कैनोपाई, उसके बाद आता है अंडर स्टोरी और जो सबसे छोटे होते हैं वो है shrub layer. Moving to the next slide. हॉरिजॉन्टल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ प्लांट एंड एनिमल. जो हॉरिजॉन्टल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन करते हैं हम लोग प्लांट्स और एनिमल्स का ऑन लैंड और इन वाटर, ज़मीन पे या फिर पानी में, इज़ कॉल्ड जोनेशन. जोनेशन इज़ ऑब्जर्व्ड इन एक्वेटिक या फिर वेटलैंड as well as terrestrial ecosystem, but it is easily seen at the junction of the two edges of a large lake or a bridge shows profound zonation in the form of intertidal. Then littoral, sublittoral zones. We will end this video here, students. In the next part, we will continue with this topic. Thank you.